FAB-Racing.
Race 1 for the AC40 Rookies. The first race of the weekend here at Red Lodge, and possibly their last race 1 of the year.
Yeah, big moment for a lot of these riders as they look to make possibly their final appearance in the AC40 Rookie class. It will be Lewis Hull lining up on pole position with Oliver Hall in second. So that is a battle that we've seen all throughout this season, and Lewis and Oliver have been very much tied to each other. However, Oliver has really stepped up his game, you'd say, in the last few rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen him getting podiums and all sorts in the last few rounds, and on pole position for this race as well. So, or rather, on the front row for this race, because of course it will be the number 5 of Lewis Hull who is going to line up on that pole position. As we look through the grid, though, riders getting their visors wiped in the background there. That's Zach Speed Penegard making sure he can see his way around this Red Lodge circuit. But there's going to be an interesting one here for the AC40 Rookies, all looking to move up into the AC40 Pros, like we just said. Oliver Hall could very well move up after this race. He needs to score 4th or higher, and he'll have to move up into the AC40 Pros for the rest of the weekend. So this could be the last we see from Oliver Hall in this category as they get underway to start their warm-up lap for race 1 for the AC40 Pros. It's going to be Lewis Hull, the number 5, who lines up on pole position ahead of Oliver Hall, who we could see moving to the AC40 Pros. Valentino Kimi-Kirk, a brilliant job in qualifying to stick it in 3rd place on the first spot on the 2nd row ahead of Travis Short, the number 4. Sam Gardner will line up in 5th spot on the number 11 machine ahead of Callum Maxwell, the number 111. Zach Speed Penegard, the number 134, he's 7th on the grid ahead of Aidan Belton, the number 35. Bethany Ashby in 9th, and Ollie O'Gorman, brother of Casey, rounding out the top 10. Chloe Beasley on the number 25 machine, a name we haven't seen much this year. She'll line up in 11th spot ahead of Jensen Bishop, who's in a 12th, and rounds out your grid.
Yep, but it will be very much the battle versus Lewis Hull and Oliver Hall of the line. Oliver, who has pinned on the podium in the last 6 races, and he's really stepped up since we've seen the likes of Austin and Byron Johnson making the move up. Finley Pelhill, of course, who unfortunately will be missing once again with a broken collarbone. So we just send our best wishes to Finley. He was a young rider. We were looking forward to seeing what he could do in the pros. Unfortunately, wasn't able to make that step up. But it will be Lewis Hull versus Oliver Hall off the front row going into this one. Travis Shaw, who picked up his first podiums on the season back at Rowry, picked up 3 third-place finishes. Watch out for that young rider who lines up in 4th position as well as they get ready to take the red lights and get their racing underway for this weekend. The first race of the weekend here at the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championships from Red Lodge. Could be the last round of the season, so let's make this one count. The last of the race 1s for these guys. Red lights on. Let's get it kicked off here at Red Lodge. Good start there from Lewis Hull as he sends it off the line up into the lead. Can Oliver Hall go around the outside? Not quite. You can see it's a good start from everyone getting back on into the race, getting nicely started. Lewis Hull already building a nice lead here. Very tricky conditions, not quite dry yet, so it's going to be tentative, you can imagine, from these riders. Yeah, absolutely. So they're just going to be feeling their way around the circuit, getting a feel for the conditions here. Of course, Lewis Hull leading this one. Valentino Kimi-Kirk doing a brilliant job to slot himself up into 3rd place. Hasn't had a podium so far this season, so doing a brilliant job there to be sticking with the likes of Lewis Hull and Oliver Hall. Still a long way to go in this one, though. Travis Shaw also had a good start in that one, and Speed Penegard, we saw he was hugging the inside line as they went into turn 1, making up a few moves, just currently fending off Aidan Belton there with the green leathers. So battles all through this field as we're used to seeing for the AC40 Rookies. So Speed Penegard doing all he can to defend that position, but back to the front, it's the number 5 of Lewis Hull who's leading ahead of Oliver Hall. Oliver Hall been working really hard this season to get himself up into these positions, to be fighting for wins, fighting for podiums. We've seen him training a lot down in Swindon, doing plenty of training, plenty of hard work there for Oliver Hall rather, and it's really paying off. Yeah, this is something we were talking about yesterday when we were watching the rookies going around. You were noting that you really like Oliver's his technique at such a young age, and something that obviously him and his dad have been working at M4 karting in Swindon, and for a rider at such a young age to be so quite technically sound, and obviously shows that he knows what he's doing, he knows where he wants to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can tell that Oliver Hall's been getting all the right advice on that little bike, because he rides it really well, especially considering this is his first season of racing, as he gets a good drive on Lewis Hall there. Has a look to the inside, can't quite make a move stick just yet, but just nibbling at the rear wheel of the number 5 of Lewis Hull as they come on to complete one more lap down into turn 1 once more. He's all over the rear wheel of Lewis Hull now, so Oliver Hall really wanting to pick up another win. He did pick up a win earlier this season. That was his first podium, actually, was at 25 points for Oliver Hall, and after that he's been on the podium ever since.
Yeah, he's fighting with Lewis Hull, who's picked up 2 podiums on the season so far, back at Lydd and at Ella Park. Not yet picked up a win, so this would be a huge result for Lewis Hull and a great confidence booster going into 2021 and of course for the rest of the weekend. But he's got to hold off a very much confident Oliver Hall in second position, who set the fastest lap last time around of 58.327, which was around about 0.2 of a second faster than what your race leader was doing. And you can see up the inside it was side by side with Hall and Hull there, and we'll see if the leader has changed. But in 5th position, Speed Pendergast's now dropped behind Callum Maxwell, so down into 7th position goes Speed Pendergast. He's still fighting with Aidan Belton over that position, but Lewis Hull does hold on to the lead out of the final corner. It's a 0.2 of a second gap between himself and Oliver Hall. Valentino Kimi Kirk currently in a bit of a lonely 3rd position, but a really good result so far for the 468.
Yeah, absolutely, a good 4.5 seconds back from your race leaders, but and in a bit of a lonely 3rd place in this one, but going really well in 3rd spot is Valentino on the number 468 machine. Of course, all these riders in their first season of racing, as we look at that battle between Speed Pendergast and Aidan Belton, hotting up really nicely as well. So battles all through this field, and a few riders, like we say, Kimi Kirk on his own in 3rd position, but looking strong to pick up his first podium of the year. Travis Shaw also there in 4th, a rider we've seen pick up podiums last time out at Rowra. Also a few new names this weekend. The likes of Jensen Bishop, Chloe Beasley, riders we haven't seen much so far this season.
No, so it's good to see youngsters coming in at all stages of the season, getting ready to shape themselves up for a championship push next time around. But Lewis Hull still holding off Oliver Hall in this one, and they have just built themselves a huge gap already, 6.4 seconds to Kimi Kirk in 3rd position, who equally holds a pretty decent gap between himself and Travis Shaw in 4th place. Sam Gardner are currently in 5th ahead of Callum Maxwell, and then you've got Pendergast, Bolton, Ashby and Beasley rounding out the top 10. Ollie O'Gorman back in 11th place with Jensen Bishop in 12th place. But Lewis Hull doing a great job so far of just a bit of defensive riding, holding off Oliver, really making Oliver work for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's covering all his lines. Oliver's trying to find a way past. We've seen him all over the rear wheel of Lewis Hull. He's just trying to see where he can make a move on the number 5. But Lewis Hull also with the fastest lap of the race on that last lap as they come over to cross the line once more. And it's 3 laps to go in this race. He's got a little bit of breathing space now, has Lewis Hull. 58.3 on that last lap, which was almost half a second quicker than Oliver Hall. So he's got 0.6 second of an advantage. He just comes up to the rear wheel of Ollie O'Gorman there, makes his way through nice and cleanly, so that hasn't hindered him too much. Oliver Hall trying to find his way through and is just caught up there behind Ollie O'Gorman, so lost a little bit of time there. Did Oliver Hall, so not what he would have wanted at all. Oliver was really excited going into this weekend. Yesterday in practice, his dad set him a target of to get below 1 minute, and he went out and set a 58.4 and is setting 58s here today as well. So really smashing his targets and doing really well at the front of this one is Oliver Hall. But Lewis Hull it is, who now has a sizable lead at the front and looking really strong at the front of this race. Yeah, unfortunately for Oliver Hall there, a bit of a scrappy lap. He used the rumble strips on the exit the final corner. That unsettled the bike going down towards turn 1, and then got caught up in a little bit of traffic, and he's now just trying to make his way back up to the back of Lewis Hull. However, we go on to the penultimate lap of this one, just 2 to go at race 1 of the AC40 Rookie class, and it's currently Lewis Hull looking for his first win on the season. He's just got about a lap and a half left to go, and he's got himself a bit of a nice gap, a 1.6 second gap between himself and Oliver Hall. Of course, we're caught up in that traffic and has dropped back a little bit, but it is still going the way of Lewis Hull. However, he goes down, so that's your race leader down on the slippery exit, and you can see that's another rider down. That's Kimi Kirk that's gone down on the exit. So clearly, it's Kimi Kirk that's gone up into 3rd position. So yeah, unfortunately, you can see 2 riders going down the same corner. Yeah, really unfortunate there. So perhaps a tricky corner there, just catching these guys out. Of course, all these guys still learning all the time, and perhaps a bit of rain coming down or something here, because that's the number 56 who's gone down as well. So riders coming down all around this circuit at the moment. So perhaps it's just raining out there on circuit and just getting a little bit slippery for these guys. Who we see riders going down in all shapes and sizes. But now with one lap to go, it is Oliver Hall who is leading this race. After that crash from Lewis Hull, Oliver has managed to take the lead in this one, and he will then move up into the AC40 Pros after this race. He needs to finish in 4th or higher to reach that points limit to be moved up into the AC40 Pros, and he will do it here in this race. And that's another rider down. I believe that's Travis Shaw. It is the number 4 of Travis Shaw that's gone down, so they're dropping like flies at the end of this race.
Yeah, it is starting to sprinkle with rain once again, so that's not going to help these riders that are out there on circuit, but it is going to be Oliver Hall that's done a brilliant job of staying on the bike. Used, unfortunately, Lewis Hull's slight fall that's cost him the race lead, and Oliver Hall's just got a few more corners left to go to take the first win on the weekend. Comes up to the line, and Oliver Hall takes the checkered flag and the first race win on the weekend in the AC40 rookie class. Once again, stepping on the top step of that podium, and he will be absolutely delighted with that. The track definitely started to fall away from them in the end, in the late stages, but Oliver doing exactly what he needed to do, and that was staying on 2 wheels.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see his lap times just dropped on that last lap because he was just making sure he stayed on 2 wheels and picked up his second victory in the AC40 Rookies. Now he'll move up into the AC40 Pros for the rest of the weekend, as we see another rider who's gone down there trying to rejoin this race further back. I believe that's number 25 of Chloe Beasley, who's just rejoining this race. But a few riders going down at the end of this one, but that means Oliver Hall it was who took the win by a sizable margin ahead of Lewis Hull, who unfortunately crashed out on the last lap, rejoined to finish in second place. Valentino Kimmy-Kirk, brilliant ride from him to finish in third place. Callum Maxwell in fourth, ahead of Bishop in fifth. Travis Shaw in sixth. Speed Pendergast down in seventh, ahead of Aidan Burton, Ashby and Ollie O'Gorman rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, brilliant race there from Oliver Hall once again, which I believe those points manages to push him up into the AC40 Pro class. So congratulations to Oliver Hall. We will, I'm sure, be seeing him in the Pro class very, very shortly. And commiserations Lewis Hull. He led that race from the front with a lap and a half left to go, going down after the rain came down very, very briefly, and he just about managed to hold on to second position, just a 0.3 of a second gap between himself and Valentino Kimmy-Kirk, who picks up his first podium on the season. So congratulations goes to the 468, and yeah, Valentino's dad is a big supporter of his son, and I'm sure he will be absolutely delighted with Valentino's result there. Yesterday it was Lewis Hull that we're on the riders down the out lap.
Shaw, I think.
Yeah, Travis Shaw that's gone down. So yeah, we've seen this. We had a bit of overnight rain. There's a bit of standing water. It might catch out some of these riders. Yeah,
absolutely. So we saw a few crashes in warm up earlier on today, and the conditions already catching out Travis Shaw there on the number 4 machine. So we expect to see these conditions being really difficult for these riders for their second race of the weekend. I didn't see a really exciting race yesterday for race 1, and now they are ready to do action again here. It's going to be the first race of the day here, and we're going to have all these riders looking to bag up the points. Will Lewis Hull be able to pick up his first win of the season? We'll be finding out very shortly as they look to the lights for the first time, and they're away down into turn 1. It's a good start from Lewis Hull. He covers his line, but a brilliant start from Valentino Kimmy-Kirk, who goes into the lead from third place on the grid. Speed Pendergast in there as well, you can see, and Oliver Hall now in third, but Travis Shaw trying to go around the outside, can't quite make a move stick. They're all through the first complex nice and cleanly. Ollie Gorman also in there, but it's Lewis Hull who currently leads ahead of Oliver Hall and Travis Shaw in third place.
Brilliant start there from Kimmy-Kirk from third on the grid all the way up into the lead. Finished on the podium for the first time this season yesterday afternoon, and a brilliant launch off the line in the start grid down into turn 1, and he leads by about half a second to Oliver Hall, yesterday's race winner. Lewis Hull, pole sitter, dropping back to third position. Very tricky conditions, of course. There's a little bit more, the track's a little bit slipperier than it was for these guys yesterday, so once again it's a bit of an unknown, and they had a practice session this morning, but very much this is at race speed for the second time of the weekend. We've got Oliver Hall closing in on Valentino Kimi-Kirk. And Oliver Hall, we spoke about yesterday, is really starting to come alive at the end of this season. He's put a lot of training in over M4 karting in Swindon. And you've often mentioned that his technique is very sound for such a young rider.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can tell that he's been getting all the right advice as Oliver Hall, and he's been working really hard in the off season and in this season, and it's definitely paying off because he's had a really good end to this season, picking up multiple podiums and 3 seconds back at Rower as well. Got his first win back at Ella Park and has pretty much been on the podium ever since. So helped a little bit by the fact that a lot of these riders will move up into the AC40 Pro category, but he's in there also been at the front completely by his own accord because he's been absolutely flying towards the end of this season, and it's been brilliant to see his progress through the season. But another rider who is progressing massively in this class as well is Valentino Kimi-Kirk, who is leading this race ahead of Oliver Hall and doing a brilliant job out the front. These two have now broken away from Travis Shaw who's down in third place, but I think Lewis Hull has managed to take that place back from him. So it's this battle now between Shaw, Lewis Hull, Travis Shaw and Sam Gardner's in there as well. Zach Speed Pennegar is down in fifth place at the moment in this race, just ahead of Callum Maxwell. Those two are battling it out as well, but this battle for third place is hotting up really nicely between Lewis Hull, Travis Shaw, Sam Gardner's in there as well. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this one pans out as well. But Valentino Kimi-Kirk doing a brilliant job out the front to fend off Oliver Hall. Still 6 laps to go in this race at the moment, so plenty of time for anything to happen in this one, as Travis Shaw has a little look to the inside of Lewis Hull. Can't quite make a move stick there, but I'm sure these guys are going to be swapping positions as this race goes on.
Yeah, Travis Shaw, who picked up his first podiums back at Rowery, picked up a triple third place finish, and he'll be looking at doing it once again, but he's got to get past Lewis Hull, who's picked up a handful of podiums himself, 1 yesterday and of course 2 back at Lydd and Ella Park. Travis Shaw gets a run down the back straight, can't quite get around the outside of Lewis Hull. Up at the front, the battle is still very much going on between Valentino Kimi-Kirk and Oliver Hall. There's fights going on throughout the field. You've got Speed Pennegar, Aidan Belton and Callum Maxwell all fighting out of a top 5 position. Speed Pennegar is looking for his best result this season, which would be beating 5th place. Has a quick glance to the right hand side just to see where his competitors are, and at the moment he's holding on to that 6th place that he's just been promoted up into. Valentino Kimi-Kirk still leading this one from Oliver Hall. Lewis Hull in 3rd, Travis Shaw, Sam Gardner, then Speed Pennegar, Aidan Belton, Callum Maxwell, Ollie Ogleman.
Aidan Belton that's gone down now as well, so out of that battle, Aidan Belton's crashed out of that battle for 5th place, so really unfortunate for the rider there, the number 35 with the green leathers, but he gets back on track and back restarted in this one.
I mean, that's a corner, turn 3, that we saw a lot of riders being caught out with. Watch out for turn 3 and turn 7, 2 very quick flicks of the bike, and that's one. Turn 3, we saw not only the minis going down but also the bigger bikes, so it's obviously catching out these riders today as well as it was yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a corner that's caught out a few riders so far. We saw it in warm-up as well, so it's definitely one that these guys are going to have to be careful of. They'll be feeling where the grip is around this circuit, but this battle for 3rd place is still going on now between Travis Shaw, Sam Gardner and Lewis Hull there, but it is Oliver Hall who's now taken the lead of this race as well, and has also pulled out 0.6 of a second lead over Valentino Kimi-Kirk. So Kimi-Kirk still very much in it in this race, but he's going to have to close down the number 3 of Oliver Hall, who is flying out the front of this one. There you can see on our screens there, Oliver Hall now leads ahead of Kimi-Kirk. A brilliant move from Oliver Hall to take that race lead, but now Kimi-Kirk is going to have to try and remain calm and see if he can take that one back. This will still be a season best result for Valentino if he can keep it in 2nd place, but I'm sure he's going to be looking for the win.
Yeah, he is, and he led off the start, had a brilliant run to turn 1, held off Oliver Hall, who's been charging to get hold of as many race wins in the late stages of this season as possible, and he's starting to break out a bit of a gap now between himself and Kimi-Kirk. It's now stretched up to just under 0.7 of a second, and Oliver Hall, who will desperately want that. He's one of the most excitable riders in the paddock. You can see every time he crosses the line, if he's on the podium, whether it's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, he's punching the air in delight. He loves that feeling of standing on the podium, and that's a great thing for these young riders to want to achieve and get better with every round.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see, I mean, he was saying about how he was targeting the podium for so long. We spoke to him even back at Wilton Mill earlier in the season. He was saying that he was targeting that podium. He went out and got it at Ella Park, back. Well, he got a win, was his first podium actually, so that was really impressive. And like we said, hasn't been off it since, so it's been brilliant to see his progression, and equally for Valentino Kimi Kirk as well. But these guys scrapping it out for third place at the moment. Lewis Hull going really defensive, but Sam Gardner tries to go round the outside, but Lewis Hull has the inside line as they go through turn 7 one more time. Will Sam Gardner be able to get the drive on him down the back straight? Not quite close enough in this one, but these guys are going to be swapping positions as this race goes on. Still 2 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, lovely try there for Sam Gardner, trying to sweep around the outside into turn 8 and into the S's at turn 9, and wasn't quite able to get the move done, as the battle's still very much going on between the likes of Ollie Gorman, and that's another rider down there.
That's Speed Pennegar, the number 134 that's gone down, so he's going to try and get back on that one. Zach's calling over one of the marshals, trying to get that bike restarted. It looks as if the chain's hanging off that one, so it might be a little bit difficult to get that restarted. They take the bike off the circuit to try and see if they can get that chain. Yeah, that's the chain to back onto the sprocket of that bike, but they get back into this race. But it's the number 03 of Oliver Hall who is leading this race at the moment, and has set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap with a 1.4 second lead he now has over Valentino Kimi Kirk. So Valentino doing a brilliant job in second place in this race, but no one can quite match the pace of Oliver Hall out the front.
No, he's doing a brilliant job. In fact, now coming up to some back markers is your race leader, Oliver Hall. He's got to make his way through around the outside. You don't want to get too far offline if you're Oliver, because he just about manages to keep off the grass there, because he would be finding himself very much sitting on the deck if he gets onto either one of these curbs or onto the grass. There's been a lot of rain. It's very slippery offline. We've seen it catch up even the Extreme 200 riders, which of course are the majority of the British Talent Cup paddock, and they've been caught out. We saw 2 race leaders go down yesterday, so these rookies, they're out there for the first time today, are really trailblazing the path for everyone else to find out where the grip is, as we've got 1 lap left to go, and it's going to be Oliver Hall leading around. He's got he's got a couple of bikes between himself and Valentino Kimi Kirk, going around the outside using the traffic to his advantage, and that's a brilliant move there from Oliver, just navigating his way through past some slower bikes. He's just got 2 more corners to go, and Oliver Hall looking at making it another win on the season, and I'm sure we will see some more absolute jubilant displays from Oliver as he comes up to the line, takes the checkered flag, and Oliver, once again, your race winner here in the AC40 rookie class. But as you can see, their fist up there, had to work hard for that one. Kimi Kirk, brilliant result for him in second position. It's going to be a run to the line between Lewis Hull, and he manages to just hold off Sam Gardner, who desperately tried to move up from third into the podium, and they both jumped ahead of Travis Shaw. But once again, what a result for Oliver Hall. Definitely one to watch in the future. Yeah, another win there for Oliver Hall. Brilliant result from him, and a brilliant second place from Valentino Kimi Kirk, who we saw take that second place. Also had a podium yesterday as well, but that's unfortunately one of the riders not finishing in this one as well. So but yeah, brilliant result from Oliver Hall to take that victory, and there it is confirmed. Then Oliver Hall it was that took the win ahead of Valentino Kimi Kirk and Lewis Hull in third place. Sam Gardner, a brilliant 4th place from him ahead of the number 4 of Travis Shaw. Callum Maxwell down there in 6th place, just ahead of Aidan Burton. Ollie O'Gorman in 8th, Ashby in 9th, and Chloe Beasley in 10th place. Yeah, lovely way to start off the day here from Red Lodge, the final round of the season here at FAB-Racing, the Minibike British Championship. Of course, we had the news overnight. Really unfortunate. Unfortunately, we have had to cancel round 8 at Llandow in South Wales in 2 weeks' time. So very much championships are on the line. The man in the moment in this one has been Oliver Hall, and he'll be looking to pick up another win in this one. He will, and he will be lining up in second behind Lewis Hull, who starts from pole position in the AC40 rookie class. Oliver Hall in second position with Valentino Kimi Kirk, who picked up 2 podiums already on the weekend so far in third position. Travis Shaw in 4th with Sam Gardner in 5th. Callum Maxwell in 6th with Speed Pennegar in 7th position. Aidan Burton in 8th with Beth Ashby in 9th. Alongside Ollie O'Gorman, of course, brother of Casey, who we'll see later today. Chloe Beasley in 11th and Jensen Bishop rounding out the 6th row of the grid in 12th place. Now, this is the first step in the career for these AC40 rookies. They've completed, the majority of them, a season's worth. They'll be heading off to the AC40 Pros. The likes of Oliver Hall, Lewis Hull, Travis Shaw will probably be moving up as well. And they've had a really, really strong season to really build and learn that craft. Yeah, absolutely. This is the class
for riders in their first season of racing, and they're going to, like you say, going to be looking to move up into that AC40 Pro category. It's a brilliant formula here at FAB-Racing. This gives riders to compete at the sharp end of a championship whilst learning the ropes in this in the world of motorcycle racing, and it also brings us some brilliant racing as well. Lewis Hull is still looking to pick up that first victory, and this is going to be his last chance to do it here at race 3 for the AC40 Rookies, and it's going to be underway very shortly indeed as they wait to get this race going. The riders on the grid looking to the lights now. The lights will come on very shortly, and now we are away for this race. It's a good start for Oliver Hall from second place on the grid, and another good start from Valentino Kimi-Kirk. We saw him last time out take the whole shot in race 2, now up into second place in this race, but it's Oliver Hall who leads from Valentino Kimi-Kirk, and Lewis Hull now down to third place from that pole position. All the riders away nice and cleanly. Sam Gardner also in there. Travis Shaw in fourth. He's going to be looking to end his season on a high with a podium. Of course, final race of the year for the AC40 Rookies, and it's Lewis Hull who's leading from Valentino Kimi-Kirk and Lewis Hull in third place. Travis Shaw, though, having a look up the inside of Lewis Hull, but Oliver Hall still leading away.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's Oliver Hall leading this one. It's very easy to get those two mixed up. They're all often next to each other, whether it be on the grid or on the circuit. So Oliver doing a stellar job. Very, very strong reactions from the young man off the line. And equally, Valentino Kimi-Kirk, brilliant stuff from him. However, he's going side by side with Lewis Hull, and Lewis back up into second position around the outside as they go into paddock at the final corner. Back up into second place. Kimi-Kirk has now got Travis Shaw for company, but I'm sure Valentino's going to look at, once again, going around the outside. He's been very strong in the opening sector of this lap here on the Red Lodge circuit. And however, at the front, it's Oliver Hall that is shooting off ahead of Lewis Hull and Kimi-Kirk in third position. Travis Shaw, Sam Gardner, Callum Maxwell, Speed Pennegar in seventh from Aidan Belton, and then Bethany Ashby, Ollie O'Gorman and Chloe Beasley in 11th position. So great start there. Oliver Hall once again leading away, something we've seen quite regularly over the last few rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. But Oliver Hall just flying away at the front of this one. 0.8 of a second lead over Lewis Hull. Lewis Hull was fastest off of the line with a 103.2. We'll see what they do this time around on a flying lap. And that's Valentino Kimi-Kirk down in the background. That's third place man in this race, down and out of the race. And looks as if the visors come off of Valentino Kimi-Kirk. Yeah, you can just see him picking it up there, and he's going to try and get restarted in this one, but doesn't look as if he's in a state to be able to restart this race. Looked absolutely distraught with that one. So really unfortunate for Valentino Kimi-Kirk, just crashing out of what could have been a podium position in this final race of the year for the AC40 Rookies. But it is Oliver Hall who's picked up 2 wins from 2. He said on social media that he's looking to make it 3 from 3, and he's got 6 laps of this Red Lodge circuit to go before he can pick up his 3rd win this weekend. But Lewis Hull, he's going to be looking to pick up a win as well, determined in second place, 2 seconds behind Oliver Hall at the moment, and with Oliver setting the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, he's absolutely flying out the front of this one. Yellow flags out at the moment, but it's not going to trouble Oliver Hall at the front.
Nope, and he is still in the lead of this one by 2 seconds. And yeah, you've got to remember, these are young riders from 6 years old making their first introduction onto two-wheeled racing on air-cooled 40cc 2-stroke engines, restricted by a 10mm exhaust with around about 45 miles an hour. So you don't often find 6-year-olds heading around at 45 miles an hour, which proves just how brave these lads and lasses are that make their way around the circuit. And you've got the likes of Speed Pennegar down in 9th position, who's been telling us all season long that's exactly what he's been after, speed, which is why he's had such the nickname coined to him. But he's now fighting with Ollie O'Gorman for that 8th place finish. But it's Oliver Hall from Lewis Hull. Travis Shaw back up into a podium position once again. We've seen it especially back at Rara, 3 in a row for Travis. It was the first time that he'd made an appearance on the podium. Sam Gardner in 4th position, Callum Maxwell in the top 5. But you can see the battle now going on between Lewis Hull and Travis Shaw, closing in for second and third position.
Yeah, Travis, a rider who's always been knocking on the door of podiums. You just see Valentini Kimikert crossing the track in the background. Thankfully, he's up and okay after his crash. But this battle now between Lewis Hull and Travis Shaw really coming down to it, because Travis Shaw's just reeling Lewis Hull in a little bit here. But he needs to be able to get onto his back wheel if he's going to try and challenge for a move with 4 laps to go in this race. There's Valentino Kimikert walking back to the paddock. But it's this man out the front, Oliver Hall, who's been dominant all weekend in the AC40 rookie class and absolutely flying out the front of this one. Hard-working little lad is Oliver Hall, and it's paying off now because he's out the front and doing very well indeed. We're looking further back at this battle for second place between Lewis Hull and Travis Shaw. Travis just not quite able to, not quite close enough at the moment to make any moves on Lewis Hull, but with 4 laps to go in this one, anything can happen, and he's going to be looking to put himself in a position to challenge for that second place in the closing stages of this race, heading down into the final corner. When they come across the line, it'll be 3 laps to go in this race, but it's Lewis Hull still holding on to that second position ahead of Travis Shaw. And of course, all these riders all on 40cc air-cooled Blata RM10 engines, so it's all equal for all the engines out there on the grid. They're all running exactly the same engine with any frame that they can choose, but all on the same engine machinery, so all nice and fair out there for their first season of racing. Looking further back, this is a battle further back between Speed Pennegar and Bethany Ashby, and that's a battle that's going on for 7th place in this race. And always we see Zach Benecar's battling with someone.
Yeah, he is always on circuit. Does like to get involved with other riders on track, and he's just got to close in on Bethany, who's made a good move from 9th all the way up into 7th position. So she's had a good start in this one as they go on to 2.5 laps left to go. Oliver Hall's in fact rounding the final corner, about to start his penultimate lap of this one, and Oliver, who I'm sure will have an ecstatically proud dad in the paddock. He's often glowing after the races after he sees his son picking up some really good results, and we, as you say, Oliver, some really strong results, and I'm sure we will see him do some good things in the AC40 Pro class in the 2021 season. He's just got to keep it on 2 wheels for the final few corners of this one. Just a lap and a half left to go for him. Lewis Hull will be wanting to finish his season on a high on the podium after unfortunately going down on the last lap of race 1 yesterday. He's managed to recover back to a podium, and he'll be looking at another one to end off his season. Of course, this is the final round of the season for the AC40 rookies. The final time for them to out there and have some competitive racing against each other before a long winter break before the 2021 season. And the likes of, watch out for next season, with the likes of Callum Maxwell, Aidan Bolton, equally Speed Pennegar will be back. Ollie O'Gorman might be one to watch in the future if he's anything like Casey. So it's really going to heat up, and this has been an exceptional season for the rookies. It's been a lot of fun to watch these youngsters out on circuit, and Oliver Hall at the moment leading this one away as he goes on to the final lap with a comfortable lead over Lewis Hull and Travis Shaw.
A very comfortable lead at the front does Oliver Hall have. He's got almost a 10-second advantage over Lewis Hull in second place on that number 5 machine. Can Travis Shaw do anything about Lewis Hull? Well, he's only got half a lap to be able to do it, but it's Oliver Hall out the front of this one. He's dominated this weekend. He's looking to make it 3 wins from 3, and it'll be a very well-deserved 3 wins for the number 3 of Oliver Hall as he comes around to complete this final lap. He's going to head onto the back straight very shortly, and then it'll just be one more corner for Oliver Hall, and he will take 3 wins from 3 here this weekend in the AC40 rookie category. Just comes up to some back markers, but no problem for the Oliver Hall. The final race of the season goes to Oliver Hall. 3 wins from 3 here at Red Logs, and he looks absolutely ecstatic with that one. Brilliant win there from the number 3 of Oliver Hall, and that is all 3 wins to the number 3 rider.
It is, and he adds his name to the list of riders this season at FAB that have picked up a hat-trick of victories over the race weekend. So congratulations out there to Oliver Hall, who in fact does it with the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. So pushing until the very end, which is the sign of a true racer. He does it in the only rider to head into the sub 1 minute mark, a 59.671, ahead of Lewis Hull, who comes across the line in second position, ahead of Travis Shaw, who picks up another podium. Sam Gardner is in fourth, with Callum Maxwell across the line in fifth position, and then we're waiting on Aidan Belton with Zach Pennegar, Bethany Ashby and Ollie O'Gorman, joined by Chloe Beasley down in 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. And around the final corner will come Aidan Belton, and he will be the last rider on the lead lap and across the line, and he does take 6th position in this one. But it is very much the man of the moment, Oliver Hall. A brilliant, just looking at that there purple, the last lap, that's what you want to see from a young racer, pushing until the very end.